Right now at Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory, save 50 to 70% off everything in stores and online. That's right, 50 to 70% off everything. Celebrate the 4th with dresses from $19.99 at Banana Republic Factory. And at Gap Factory stores, tees start at $4.99. Plus, save an extra 40% off clearance. Sale ends Tuesday. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store or shop us online.
Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and you're listening to No BS Hiring Advice Radio. This is a time where I like to spend about 15 minutes speaking with you as an HR professional, you as a small business owner, you as a hiring manager, and talk with you about how to make the hiring process more effective. Because frankly, I believe that job hunting doesn't have to be hard, and hiring doesn't have to be as hard as it is. It's just, for many organizations, they think they're doing the right thing. And in fact, they are engaged in a series of steps that are impeding the process of hiring. You know, how better to describe applicant tracking systems, for example? I'm not going to go off on a long diatribe about this. That's not the purpose of this show. But you know, applicant tracking systems are very good at tracking people through the process, but they don't do anything for recruiting. They don't do anything good for recruiting. In point of fact, what they do is turn people off to your organization. But that's a different conversation. Now, today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is a site, or a service, I should say, that allows you to listen to audiobooks. And if you, audiobooks on any device, by the way. And if you go to audibletrial.com/thebiggamehunter, and sign up for a free trial, you'll receive a free audiobook as part of that trial. And I know you like audio. You listen to my podcast. You listen to this one. You listen to No BS Job Search Advice on Blog Talk Radio. You listen to my other one, which is Job Search Radio, which is on webtalkradio.net. All of these are in iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Player FM, the BlackBerry Store, a whole host of places. So check out audibletrial.com/thebiggamehunter and try out the Audible service. Now, today I thought I would talk with you about sourcing and looking for people online, because I'm someone who has a perspective on what goes into sourcing candidates, from having this now for more than 40 years. I started in recruiting when no one had computers. You had index cards that you worked with for both actually, you didn't have it for candidates, you had them for companies. They were 4x6 cards most agencies used, at least in New York anyway. You had file drawers filled with paper. You had your desk buried in paper from one resume or another that had been mailed to you. I started when there weren't even fax machines. So I go back a long way in this recruiting process. And I'll simply say, in these days, it's a lot easier to find candidates than it once was. Back in the Stone Ages, you advertised, you did cold calls, you did a lot of shenanigans to find out about people. Like, I remember, this is 1972. I'm 21 years old at that time. I turned 22 later that year. And I was trained in a methodology for finding candidates that we would now call rusing. I would call up and pretend I was a part of the HR department checking on the directory, because it had to be updated. So I'd speak to the operator, or I'd speak to someone on an extension, actually more likely the extension. And I would call up and say, is this extension, I'm just picking up numbers at random, 3241, hi. I'm calling, my name is so-and-so, I'm calling to update the directory. Who is accepting phone calls on this extension? It was bizarre, the kind of things you had to do to find people in those days. And now it's obviously very different. There are two major sources, actually three, that most organizations use. Now, third-party recruiters use their own database much more relentlessly than corporations do. And I understand why, and I'll give you a pass on why you don't do it with any regularity. Frankly, I think most of you folks are overwhelmed with the amount of traffic that you receive, the tasks that you have to handle. Third-party recruiters trivialize what you do, and I do appreciate all the effort and all the time that you're putting in tracking all these candidates, scheduling these appointments, talking to hiring managers who don't want to talk to you, even though they want your help with hiring. All this nonsense that goes on. So there's your own database, there's LinkedIn, there's Boolean searching. There's lots of different ways to find people. And that's before you even get to job boards. Job boards have clearly dropped down much further on people's radar as a desirable tool for finding candidates. But here's the miss that I think a lot of organizations make. And that is, it's easy to find people. It's tough to recruit. And if you've tried cold calling into an organization to talk to people, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about calling someone up or doing a direct mail piece to an individual and saying, I'm doing a search for a client, or I'm doing a search for my organization. Read some stuff about you on the web. Your background looks interesting. Can we schedule a time to speak? Talking with that person, talking to them about your organization, the challenge that's there, all the things that are that you need to qualify them for. And then at the end of the day, in most instances, they're not right for your organization. So it takes a lot really to go into finding a candidate, a qualified candidate for your organization. Because again, the issue isn't finding people. It isn't about locating someone. Heck, you can run an ad and you're going to get swamped. I do that as part of my work, and I have someone review resumes for me and just give me the basic ones that make sense. But the amount of garbage that I receive, I can only imagine what it's like for you folks. So, I just want to remind you that your job isn't to get lots of resumes. Your job is to fill jobs. And if you're a hiring manager, you're getting the filtered pile. You're getting the stuff that your organization and perhaps a recruiter outside your organization, or 2 or 5 or 7, has been filtering down to limit the damage. So these are the best of perhaps the worst. And if you're doing sourcing within your organization or within a corporation to try and find people, you're using Boolean techniques, you're using LinkedIn Recruiter, a whole host of different ways to try and identify people. So, I just remind you how hard this is, because ultimately you have to nail things down. Now, I still believe there's a very strong place for third-party recruiters. And I know every firm is cost-conscious these days and is looking at ways to save money on the cost of doing business. But if you measure it, you measure what it's like to do all the outreach into organizations. You do the actual measure for how much of your salary and how much of your advertising budget is being eaten up in one way or another in costs that are not actually being measured. I'll give you an example. Okay, you have a LinkedIn Recruiter account, $10,000 a year. Okay, so you have the full-blown Recruiter account, depending upon the time of year, it's costing between $7,000 and $10,000. Now you're there clicking profiles to see who's appropriate, because on first blush, LinkedIn is as bad as looking at a job board and giving you search results. So you're spending hours staring at stupid resumes in order to click off a number that you're going to send emails to that probably are not going to respond. And beginning in January of 2015, I'm being clear about the date because I'm recording in 2014. Beginning January 2015, instead of getting reimbursed if no one looks at the email within a week, LinkedIn is taking that privilege away and changing it. And what they're saying is, if it is looked at within 90 days, you'll get reimbursed. Translated, not enough people log on to LinkedIn and respond to emails in order to be able to to justify the service. So to try and save and try and get you to spend money on buying more emails, they've taken away that original service and changed it. So, you can find tons of people, and Lord knows I fill lots of jobs through LinkedIn, but heck, I'm kissing a lot of frogs in order to fill those positions. Like job boards, if you start to look at the amount of time that you're spending doing Boolean searching, to look at one bad resume after another, you look at your salary. You figure out how much of your professional day is wasted in one stupid task or another that's pointless. And there's a reason why third-party recruiters still exist. So, I encourage you, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater and start thinking because you're spending money on a LinkedIn recruiter account, there's no place for recruiting. That you can do all the sourcing yourself, which you really can't because you have so many other tasks in your day that take away that ability. That you can do this and be effective like a third-party recruiter can, who all they're doing is evaluating and assessing people versus all the other stuff that you have to contend with. So recognize that your systems are real good at tracking people throughout the life cycle of hiring. That your process is designed to ensure that people don't get lost. But when all is said and done, the hiring process makes it hard if you're working for a corporation to attract people, to retain people, to make them feel wanted and cared for throughout the process, no matter how hard you try. That you need to get everyone on board with the process in order to ensure that that qualified individual that you found isn't obliterated by stupid behavior by the interview team. I could go through story after story. One that I'll relate to from an investment banking client was them bringing someone in for 20 different people on 12 different occasions. Catch that one. 20 different people on 12 different occasions to look this person over before responding back and saying, I think we're going to pass on this guy. We think he's too light. You couldn't figure that out after 4? Come on. And more organizations do this. It's kind of like, and excuse me for going to an exaggerated example, but a lot of heterosexuals are concerned that those who are not heterosexual are hitting on them if there's a touch that they find uncomfortable. When in point of fact, no disrespect intended to the heterosexual population, they're not as good looking as they think they are. And the result winds up being the gay people wind up pausing and going, huh? I just touched their arm. What's the big whoop? And they're right. But different conversation, I digress. You have to make your process good for recruiting, not just finding candidates. You need to be able to find talent that your firm wants to hire and do it by whatever means is necessary. You need to treat your third-party recruiters as a valued resource, not a commodity that's disposable, and drive the fees down because, frankly, all that happens is they go away, right? And then you're stuck. And yes, there's another one that can replace them, but is that what you constantly want to be doing? Anyway, I'll just simply say, I hope you found this show helpful. And if you did, share it, pass it on to other people. If you're watching this as a video on YouTube, leave a comment, click the like button, do something that lets people know that was worthwhile. I also encourage all of you to come over to thebiggamehunter.us, my website. I have lots of no BS hiring advice information that'll help you do a better job of screening and interviewing and doing a better job of hiring. Also want to mention that if your firm is trying to hire someone, I'd love to help with the recruiting. Send me an email at Jeff Altman at thebiggamehunter.us. Give me an idea when you can be reached. Let's schedule a time to talk. I'll see if this is a search that I could be helpful with. Finally, if we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send a connection request to me at linkedin.com/in/the-big-game-hunter. I'll accept the connection request, except if you're a third-party recruiter, except if you're in a country that might be recognized for scams or spam. So I hope you found this show helpful. This is Jeff Altman. Hope you have a great day, and I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. Take care.
Right now at Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory, save 50 to 70% off everything in stores and online. That's right, 50 to 70% off everything. Celebrate the 4th with dresses from $19.99 at Banana Republic Factory. And at Gap Factory stores, tees start at $4.99. Plus, save an extra 40% off clearance. Sale ends Tuesday. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store, or shop us online. Right now at Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory, save 50 to 70% off everything in stores and online. That's right, 50 to 70% off everything. Celebrate the 4th with dresses from $19.99 at Banana Republic Factory. And at Gap Factory stores, tees start at $4.99. Plus, save an extra 40% off clearance. Sale ends Tuesday. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap Factory and Banana Republic Factory store, or shop us online.